Okay, here's your second example for properties of parallelograms, specifically parallelograms, rectangles, rhombus, square. So for this problem, I tell you AC has a length of 12, BD has a length of 16, and I ask you to find the perimeter of ABCD. So in this example, I didn't physically write out what the figure was, what this quadrilateral was, but because you know all the properties of these specific types of quadrilaterals, you should be able to determine based on the markings that this quadrilateral ABCD is a rhombus. You know, if all four sides are congruent, it has to be a rhombus. You don't know about the angles, so you can't say it's a square. You don't know if A, B, C, and D are right angles. There's no information telling you that. So the only thing that you can assume here is that ABCD is a rhombus. So it says AC is 12, this whole length is 12, and BD is 16. Because every single rhombus is also a parallelogram, that means the diagonals bisect each other. So if AC is 12, that means each one of these pieces has a length of 6. If BD is 16, that means each piece of that diagonal has a length of 8. And again, the diagonals bisect each other. Now, to find the perimeter of this rhombus, you just need to know one side. If you know one side, you know all four, and you can just add them up and get your perimeter. So in order to get the length of one side, the next property that you have to recognize for every single rhombus is that the diagonals are perpendicular. All right, since they're perpendicular, that means they form a right angle, and now you have a right triangle. So each of these smaller triangles is a right triangle. And in order to find BC, you need to recognize that it's opposite the right angle. Therefore, it's the hypotenuse of a right triangle. So you're solving for the hypotenuse of a right triangle, which means you can use the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, where this C value is always the hypotenuse. So for now, we're going to let this side BC be X, because that's what I'm solving for. So A and B are going to be 8 and 6. Doesn't matter which order you plug those in, as long as C is always the hypotenuse. So 8 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. So you end up with 64 plus 36 equals X squared, and 64 plus 36 is 100. So our hypotenuse squared is 100, so if we square root both sides, the square and the square root cancel each other out, we end up getting X equals the square root of 100, which is 10. So now I'm going to replace this X with a 10. So if this side is 10, all four sides have a length of 10. And then we want to finish the problem by finding the perimeter. So 10 times 4 is 40. So the perimeter of this rhombus is 40 units. And there's your answer. So sometimes you're going to need the Pythagorean theorem when you're working with a rhombus because the diagonals are perpendicular.